record, sir. How old are you?
78.
78? And how long have you been in jail on this manslaughter conviction?
Ever since 1996, ma'am.
Is that 25 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were originally charged with second-degree murder. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But you pled part of a plea. You pled to manslaughter.
Well, ma'am, I went to trial. It was a mistrial. Then they came back to me with manslaughter charge. I went to trial. It was a mistrial.
Did you plead guilty
Right.
to manslaughter? When they came back for the second trial, that's what she's asked. Did you take the plea bargain?
I took the plea bargain.
Okay. Thank you for your help, Warden Goodwin.
Yes, ma'am.
And so how old were you at the time of the crime?
Roughly guess, I believe I was about 54, 55, somewhere along there.
And tell us about what actually happened.
Man, that's been a long time ago.
Well, I know you remember some of the details, so tell Ms. Finazza the details that you remember.
That you remember, yeah.
Ron.
Okay. Well, it's just that all of it was just a nightmare then at the time being. I just don't hardly remember anything. It was just, it's just one of those things that's happened.
The victim was your girlfriend at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There's some information in the record that I read that y'all were kind of playing. You and she played, with the record says, sneak attacks.
Yes, ma'am. Things like that. And well, she be at home sometime by herself at night, and I work at night, and I was trying to show her how to protect herself, things like that, when somebody sneak up on, things like that. So that's what
That's what happened. That's what was going on when the crime was committed.
Yes, ma'am. I was, trying to show her how to protect herself. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Hall, you are a second offender. Your first offense was simple robbery. You did 5 years for that.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And tell us about, you've been in jail 25 years for this. Tell us what you've done, what programs you've taken since you've been in jail.
Well, I took a few classes since I've been in jail, and the one I didn't know I had. And re-entry, I took 8 hours of re-entry at Wynn Corrections Center. Here, I couldn't take no re-entry because I'm not closer to getting out. And so the other 20 hours of re-entry, I couldn't take it. Then stress management, victim awareness, I took them. And another one, I took that one too. I have some records there. When they transferred me from Wynn Corrections Center, I didn't get them here. And so it's still in progress. I'm trying to get them.
So you mentioned victim awareness. Tell me what you learned out from that program.
Well, victim awareness, I learned that sometimes you have to walk away from things. You have to compromise with things, not within you, outside of you. You got to compromise with other people. You got to compromise. Then you got to respect other people as much as you want them to respect you. And a victim of awareness, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Good. Yeah, good. Did you, you didn't mention anger management, but I believe you took some anger management class.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you learn in that?
Well, I learned how to control your anger, and when other people started getting angry at you, you sort of be quiet, walk away. That don't mean you be scared or afraid of, but you be, getting out the way of them, so you don't know what they were gonna do. So you're gonna try to defend yourself if they act up on you. So anger management, that's a good course to take. So I learned from that too.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I want to just comment on your institutional record. Looks pretty good. You have what I saw, one write-up, one DB in 2011. Is that accurate?
2011.
Yeah.
Well, it might have
And
been
it,
2011. I thought it was about 2008 or 9 or somewhat like that. It might have been 2000.
well,
It
maybe
don't-
I made a wrong note, but it was a low court write-up.
Yeah, it's a long time. But that write up, I didn't deserve to get that because she said I was smoking. When I wasn't smoking, I was giving the guy another life.
That was 2011, Mr. Knox, March 8th, 2011, at Wynn Correctional Center.
All right, great. Thank you. Tell me what your plan would be if you would be successful today. Where would you go?
Where will I go? Jonesboro, Louisiana. I'll go to Jonesboro, Louisiana. Start me a garden out and back. To work, I'm 78 years old. People don't like to hire older people to work. And I do my best working around the house and going fishing, going to church, things like that. Then I was thinking about holding a small meeting with some teenagers, boys, try to teach them not to get into the wrong gang or coming to jail or stay out of jail, don't fool with drugs or nothing like that. That's what I was thinking about doing.
Where would you live?
Jonesboro,
You have
Louisiana.
with who?
Pardon me?
Who would you live with?
It's a lady down there in Jonesboro. I've been knowing her from like the early 80s. Her name's Shirley Austin. Shirley Austin.
She's
That
just a friend.
She's a friend. She's been with me ever since I've been in jail.
Where's she at today? Is she here? She's not with us today.
No, man.
Did you tell her you were coming up for parole?
I told her around about 4 months ago I was coming up for parole. I haven't talked to her lately.
All right, sir. Let me tell you what concerns me. And I voted for you last year, and I was the only favorable vote you got. I don't know if you remember that, but I did vote for you because the warden had some good things to say about you. But I'm concerned because there's some information in the record that indicates there was in your relationship with Miss Yvonne, that you were manipulative, you like to control her, and there were some domestic abuse issues. Tell me about that.
The domestic abuse issue. Ma'am, we didn't have no domestic abuse issues there in our relationship.
Okay, all right.
The only thing she wanted to do was to learn how to protect herself. That's all.
Okay.
She asked me to show her, little things, how to, get away from a predator or thing like that. I try to show her. That's
Okay.
it.
All right, sir. I don't have any other questions. Warden Goodwin, is there anything you can add?
No, ma'am, other than things we've already discussed. He's 78 years old, obviously does have some health issues. He is disabled, and we would help him with any applications for SSI or disability, things like that. He does have a residence plan submitted to live in Jonesboro, Louisiana with Miss Shirley Austin. He's taken some programming. He got his GED back in 1980, and he took some programs while he was at Winfield Correctional Center. His conduct record is pretty good. I mean, he's excellent. Actually, you touched on that earlier. He's had one low court write-up since 2002, since he began his incarceration. So that's pretty remarkable. He's gone 20 years. He's very cooperative with staff. He's very mindful of the rules and regulations of the institution. He's not a problem offender whatsoever. He's been here over 6 years, and you know, he's really not an issue at all. I know the crime he committed, the crime he pled guilty to, is very serious, very significant in nature, and but as far as his institutional history, his institutional record, he's been a model prisoner throughout his incarceration, and he's very, very cooperative with staff and has a good attitude and very good demeanor.
Thank you. Thank you, Warden Goodwin.
Fine.
Appreciate it. Ms. Teresa, could you introduce our guests that want to speak?
First, we will hear from Mr. Darren McGee, who's a victim.
Go ahead, Mr. McGee.
Hey everyone, how y'all doing?
Good.
What John has done, I don't think it's forgivable. After he was found guilty, he knew the consequences of it. And to hear him say it was just one of those things that happened, well, when we do stuff wrong, there's consequences, and it is just one of those things that happen. Teaching my mom how to defend herself with all the brothers she's had growing up, she didn't need that. John, even trying to give him the benefit of a doubt that, you know, maybe you would sit up and tell the truth, there's nothing truthful that's coming out your mouth. And it just hurts because you took everything away from me, my sister. She has grandkids that she don't know about. She has 4 grandkids that graduated from college, one with a master's. She has her youngest at LSU right now. She has a son that did 22 years at a restaurant and broke out from there and started his own business. And I'm not too loud. It's just the fact that my mom didn't see any of that because you decided that, hey, I'm gonna take her life. For what reason? A sneak attack drill. And it I don't know what else to say. No, John should stay locked up. Whether he's been a model prisoner or not, that just means that our tax dollars got a good, he's gonna do what he needs to do and he won't be a bother to somebody. But John, no. I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. McGee.
Next, we will
Ms.
hear
Ma-
from Miss Marion Lewis, who's a victim.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Good.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry. It's hard, and the things he was saying is not true. But Mama, he trying to teach Mama how to defend herself. Mama knew how to defend herself. She did, you know, and the sneak attack, that's not true. He it was one incident that this man, he had draw water in the tub and it sat there for a week because I used to live with them. And he just used to be so sneaky, and it just, no, he don't deserve to get out. And I asked Mama, like she used to do CNA, and like she'll be hurting, so I'll rub her down because she used to love to sew, and I'll rub her down, and I'm like, Mama, what's wrong? She's like, well, I picked up a patient wrong. Was that he didn't never like hit her in the face because I was there, like I leave on weekends or however, but like And then she'll be like, well, I don't know why he had the water in the tub, but then it came about he had put a towel around her neck. He was in the house, he twisted the towel, her thumbs was up under the towel, and he kept dipping her head in the water. She didn't tell nobody but me. So he tried this before and he didn't succeed. And she was just so scared that she didn't tell nobody. And I asked her, like, Mama, we can tell her. She was like, no, he gonna kill me. He gonna kill me if I say something. And he did, but I thought my mama told my brother because I asked her, she promised that she was gonna tell him, but she didn't. And I mean, but no, he don't deserve to get out. He don't deserve. He took her life. He said that he didn't deserve to get wrote up. My mama didn't deserve to get her life took. He was jealous. My mama used to go to church. She couldn't wear pants. He didn't want her to wear pants at all. She had to wear dresses all the time. It was bad. No, he don't deserve to get out. No, he needs to stay exactly where he is. He shouldn't have got out the first time. And my mama probably would have still been here. He's not a nice man. He was mean to me when I was a child. He's not a nice man. And that's all I have to say. And thank you all.
Thank you, Miss Lewis. Thank you. Mr. Hall, is there a statement you'd like to make to the panel before we vote?
Closing statement, speak only to the parole board now.
I'm sorry about what had happened, and I hope it will never happen again. In the meantime, I learned my lesson since I've been locked up, and I thank God to let me live this long to see what people will do to you to keep you behind bars. They'll say anything they will do
Don't go there.
with that.
Don't go there. Don't say that.
Yes,
Go ahead and finish your statement, but don't.
and I'm sorry about what things that happened now. That's all I can say. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Mr. Hall, you know, I voted for you last time. And that was also based on some positive remarks, but I didn't like what I heard you say today. You're fortunate Warden Goodwin stopped you before you really stepped off in a really huge hole. I don't want a response from you. I'm just telling you what I think. I want to thank Ms. Lewis and Mr. McGee for joining us today and sharing your thoughts. And I know that took a lot of courage and rubbed some really raw wounds for you still. So thank you for your testimony is very important to us. Mr. Hall, I'm going to stick by my vote from last time.
Thank you.
Based on your age and your length of incarceration, I would add special conditions that you have absolutely no contact with any of the victim's family whatsoever, and that you have a curfew from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And that you enroll in an anger management class. I want you to enroll and complete an anger management class. I'm just one vote, so I'm going to defer to my colleagues. Ms. Wise?
Mr. Hall, this is, again, I want to thank the victim's family for their participation today. It's very valuable for you all to participate. Mr. Hall, this is my first time meeting you, and my vote is to deny due to the strong victim opposition and the law enforcement opposition. But again, that's just one vote. I just encourage you to reapply when you're eligible, and maybe retake victim awareness to become a little more aware. Spend some more time with that. Best wishes to you, sir.
Mr. Marabella?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Hall, this is a very tough case, and I'm on the fence. I can tell you that. I want to thank the family of the victim for speaking. Warden Goodwin had some very good comments for you. You kind of undercut those things. This is my first time hearing you and listening to you. And to be perfectly honest with you, when I read your report, I didn't buy the facts of the case. I mean, that's a far fetch for me that you were teaching her self-defense and it just was an accident. I don't buy that at all. Maybe that's just the way you've had to deal with that all your life while you've been in prison, and I accept that and I understand that. You know, I'm glad the warden cut you off because you were really going to a bad place with the family of the victims in this case, and I've just got some serious doubts. I think you know you're 78 years old, and I realize that. I just think you need some more understanding of the victim's plight and those kinds of things. So my vote today is going to be to deny you, but encourage you to take victim awareness, and the next time you come back before the board, understand and realize and accept responsibility for what you did. So that's my vote today.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. So, Mr. Hall, you received one favorable vote, 2 votes to deny. So today your application for parole has been denied, sir.
Thank you.
Believe me, this actually gets worse. What I'm about to share with you is going, I think, to just make you want to pull your hair out. I'm going to read the court transcript of his appeal, and then it dives into his prior record, which is scary. It makes me wonder how Ms. Renazza was going to grant him again. It's like, do you not have the same access to the same information that I have, that we have, that's available to the public? Are you not allowed to take that into account? I mean, we just saw a man who during his parole hearing, you felt his anger. You felt him. He was about to lash. He was lashing out when the warden, a great warden, I think many of us appreciate him, but telling the family, like, oh, they want me to stay in prison. I think he probably does believe his lies and his stories, which makes it even that much scarier. But what we're about to dive into might lead to even a reason why he might believe his lies. And that's because he has a record that is very scary. And it seems that he has gotten away with it for much of his life, where the only prior on record, I think, was a robbery charge. But you're going to say, how is that possible? Thank you, Claire, for bringing this to me. She sends an email, and it's a big difference. There are so many cases to look at. So if you see something that moves you, please do send an email. He got a 40-year sentence. He took a plea deal, talking about how it was self-defense. A game. They would play a game, sneak attack, and he was trying to protect her. And it's the story is so far-fetched and ridiculous. It's almost laughable if it wasn't so dramatic. You know, the only, if you want to call it a silver lining, would be listening to how well her son is doing, how much he's accomplished, how he didn't let this dictate what he would do with the rest of his life, and then how well his kids are doing. And it would have been her grandkids. And it is, you know, to lose a parent, for that parent not to be able to take the joy in seeing their children and grandchildren excel and succeed. And every time he has to experience something beautiful, like one of his children getting into college, and just to not have your mother there to appreciate it, So, and then you hear the pain from the other victim in her voice. You could, and the guilt that she must hold with her, you can hear it, which she shouldn't. But for her, hearing about what he was doing, and then you could hear that she still feel that she holds that guilt. She feels that she should have done something, that she should have said something. At least that was my takeaway, and that's just, it's so sad. But there was nothing she could have done. So we're gonna go over what he said, through the motions of how he got arrested, and then we're gonna go into his previous history. So the record shows on Monday, 1996, the defendant went to the hospital with wounds on his wrists that he claimed had been caused by a fight. Defendant then stated that he had been in the bathroom of his residence when his girlfriend approached him from behind to practice self-defense maneuvers against home intruders. Like, how ridiculous is this? Is his story. He claimed to have flipped her over his back and that she fell into the bathtub. Defendant did not mention a weapon at the time, but he said that he left the house, leaving the victim behind in the belief she was pretending to be injured. Suspecting something was wrong, hospital personnel contacted the sheriff's office. That's his story. His girlfriend was playing a game. They would play games about intruders. She jumped on his back. He flipped her into the bathtub, and then he ran out thinking that she was just pretending. It's all part of the game. You can't make it up. And he still takes that approach today at his parole hearing. And Mr. Nasa still granted him. How? Come on. Defendant later told the investigating officers that Lewis had been holding a knife when she approached him. So now he changed his story. Now she's holding a knife. Defendant claimed that Lewis had fallen on her knife when he shoved her toward the bathtub. The defendant stated that he departed the residence, leaving the victim in the bathtub. According to the defendant, when he returned Sunday evening, the victim was still in the bathtub with the knife protruding from her chest. The defendant told the officers that he removed the knife from the victim's body and departed, but he could not remember what happened to the knife. This is story 2. It gets better, right? I mean, this stuff it's like, imagine watching his interrogation and listening to him say it. It's like, are you kidding me? And he's saying the same story in prison. Can't make it up. A medical examination of the fatal wound indicated the victim had been stabbed from behind with extreme force. Further, so this is from she was stabbed from behind with extreme force. Further, a pool of blood found on the floor near the bathroom door indicated the victim had not been stabbed in the bathtub. Friends of the victim informed investigators that the defendant had physically abused her, and that the defendant removed property from their joint residence, perhaps in an attempt to make the homicide appear to have resulted in a burglary. After his arrest, the defendant entered a plea of not guilty and guilty by reason of insanity to charge of second degree, which is punishable by mandatory life of imprisonment without the benefit of parole. After they took his psychiatric reports of the defendant, the district court determined the defendant was competent to proceed in trial. The defendant pled to the reduced charge of manslaughter. They gave him a manslaughter plea deal. For whatever reason, they're just like, hey, we don't want to go to trial. Let's just do a plea deal for 40 years. Now, he was older when he committed this crime. He was in his late 30s. So, they felt that was okay. The defendant contends the district court imposing excessive sentence. The defendant argues the goals of sentencing could have been accomplished with a less severe imprisonment, when, as here, the defendant's motion for reconsideration urges merely the sentence is excessive. Okay, so Here's where they go into it. Prior to imposing, he was 58 years old. Okay, so that's where it makes where I would say, okay, fine. The 4-year plea deal is okay. He was 58 at the time of this plea deal, and they don't want to put the family through it. This is a plea deal I can wrap my mind around completely. But prior to while others just make me go crazy. Prior to imposing sentence, the court considered pre-sentence investigation report. Their court noted the defendant was 58 years old at the time of sentencing and considered his social history in some detail. The defendant had quit school in 9th grade. He was honorably discharged from the military after 4-year enlistment. That's good. Although he was married with 3 children. And did you notice that none of those 3 children showed up in support? He had lived with the victim for 15 years. The defendant's employment record included long-term work as a logger. Not bad, though, overall, right? Seems like, okay. Decent guy. He's doing well for himself. The defendant did not have a juvenile record. In the 1970s, he was convicted for battery of theft. All right. But in 1980, the defendant was arrested for attempted first-degree red rum, simple robbery, and resisting an officer. A jury only convicted him of robbery, though. In that case, the defendant severely beat an elderly man. Yep. He severely beat an elderly man, took his money, and left him lying unconscious on the ground. How does a jury not find you guilty or only find you guilty for robbery when you severely beat an elderly man? How? Crazy. Additionally, the defendant held hostage for several days a woman who had witnessed his crime. So, you see that? He held hostage a woman for several days for a woman because she had witnessed it, and she would tell authorities. This is, and all he has on his record is a robbery charge. Maybe that's why he's still in denial. He thinks he can get away with it. The court determined the instant offenses manifested deliberate cruelty to the victim. The court noted the defendant had removed items from the victim's property, from the residence, and taken them from her home to the home of another woman with whom he was romantically involved. This is they're going back to the case. What a monster. The court considered the defendant's history of violence and noted that the method of stabbing and the homicide indicated specific intent to kill or seriously injure. The court found no indication of strong provocation, excuse, or justification of the actions. And the court noted the defendant had threatened the victim prior to this homicide and stated it did not believe the defendant's story that he and the victim were practicing methods of defense against intruders when the stabbing occurred. Yet here he is, 27 years later? And he's still sticking to the same story. The court determined the defendant was in need of correctional treatment. The defendant has established, and it was denied. But as you can see, he has a prior violent history. So, which the court took into consideration for sentencing, and I think the parole board should take into consideration when voting. Maybe Mr. Nasser just doesn't have those details. I don't know, but how do this man is not safe to be out, nor has he earned the right to be out. There is no remorse. He's still sticking to a lie, and Mr. Nasser gave him a vote. That's kind of scary. 2 votes in a row. And you never know. Anything could have gone in any way. That's why it's so important for the assistant district attorney to show up to these cases, because you just don't know. Miss Wise maybe could have voted for him. Mr. Mirabella said it was a tough case. Maybe if he hadn't lashed out in front of the parole board, and he would have just, done what he was supposed to do in the parole hearing, he would have gotten a favorable vote. And they would have been releasing a man who took this mother's life viciously and violently and has hurt others in the past, and who clearly still has a temper and who still thinks that they are innocent and being wronged. That's scary. This is why we do this. We show the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in this case, the system worked. He's still locked up, but man, it could have. I think it could have easily gone the other way. And these things shouldn't be handled by coin flips. With that, I'll let you go.